who have missed it. Fantastic. So I see a few questions about customer journey mapping in specific industries. Let me just quickly get a show of hands. And to this beautiful audience, I would love if you switch your camera on. If you were in our sessions before, you know that I do not mind nudity. I've actually always been waiting for Zoom flashes to come into my session and show me the goods. But I swear, I've been on Zoom for thousands of hours. Yes, Nicholas, and it's never, ever happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to you, Nicholas, but if it has, then obviously you're much luckier than what I am. Amazing. Thank you for those extra faces. Just give me a show of hands. Finance industry. Finance industry, give me a reaction or a show of hands. Who comes from finance industry? Banking, insurance. There we go. Okay, we've got a few people. Kabendri, Richie, I see you. I think customer journey mapping can be phenomenal, irrespective of what your industry is. In banking and insurance, and sometimes in investments, right? These are very heavily legislated environments. And sometimes we use compliance as an excuse to not innovate, right? The principles are exactly the same. Now, for my banking colleagues, I'm not saying you've got an easy job, right? Because you work with a very commoditized product. You've got lots of legacy systems. Some of you have been in operation for way more than 100 years, right? Am I talking the right language here? Some of you have been in operation for a very long time. And over time, there's some things that have stuck in the environment, right? So it becomes more difficult to innovate. But everything I say today will apply to you. And I think it's time to really stretch the boundaries of innovation inside our organizations. And I want to challenge you to say, if I strip off your logo, let's say you're a bank, if I strip off your logo, will I know that it's distinctly your brand? Will I know that I'm doing business with FNB or with NCBA, right? Will I know your brand? Because I think what we've done is we've become so transactional, right? That a transaction is a transaction. And most experiences leave no impression in the memory of the customer, right? Which is a massive missed opportunity. I would say, I often say to complaints teams when they engage with us and they say, please come and help us because we have so many complaints and it's like they're killing our brand. I say to them, it's actually better to have some kind of a peak, whether it's a positive or a negative peak, than no peak at all. That bland section in the middle where you get a call from a research company saying, oh, I want to do a survey today. You had an interaction with this brand 2 weeks ago. And I go, I can't even fucking remember what I had for breakfast, let alone 2 weeks ago having an interaction with a brand. And you're going to ask me a whole lot of questions about stuff that I can no longer remember because it was so unremarkable. So it's really important that we start thinking about what is unique to your brand. How will they know if I strip off all your colors and your logo? How will I know that it's you? All right, so I have prepared a few things for you today, but I really do want to invite you that we don't make this death by Chantal talking. I want you to end the chat as soon as you have a question. I want you to type that question, right? Raise your hand, interrupt me. If you want to play some music, I'll give you co-hosting rights. Let's have fun this afternoon. And I'm going to share with you as much as possible in the shortest space of time. Now, Leilani challenged me because in Tuesday's session, as soon as I share my iPad screen, right, then you're no longer going to see me. So she challenged me. She challenged me to share in a very interesting way. So let's see if we can get this going. Let's do this. So I want to share my iPad screen, but
how to escalate it.
Let's do this.
The other one I sent to that one, and then I sent the one for debit cards. Although I called Emma said that there's no customer who was complaining.
Amazing. Someone's handling my credit card issue there in the background. Isn't that awesome? Okay, folks, can you see my screen? Amazing. All right, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through a few key things, and then we're going to be doing a little interactive exercise together. So what you're going to need a little bit later is a sheet of paper, right? You're going to need a clean sheet of paper, but we will get there. If you want to quickly grab your book, if you want to rip a piece of paper, we're going to need that in a little bit. But let's quickly start talking about customer journey mapping. That's essentially what you came to learn today. So if we look at what customer journey mapping is, I see it very much as a storyline, right? Some people show me their customer journey maps and it looks like a process map or it looks like a spreadsheet, right? In all the years that we've been doing this work, we've handled it as a storyline. Think about your amazing Netflix series that you're watching at the moment. And there's a whole lot of scenes in that episode within the series, right? It consists of a number of episodes and there's scenes within that episode. Now, if you walk the journey like your customer would, then you are going to identify stops in their journey. And those stops, we think it looks like this, right? We think it's linear. Leilani, will you just find the microphone? I don't know if it's mine that's giving feedback or whether there might be a participant that's not muted. But let's just quickly find that person who's not muted. Excellent. Thank you, Leilani. All right. So we think the journey is linear, but it's a lot more like this, right? The customer tries and finds the path of least resistance when they interact with you. What's crucially important is that in that journey, although they might have stops and they might have goals, they are constantly measuring you against the promise. And that promise might be something that you promised to them, something that they heard on the radio, something that another competitor of yours promised to them, right? Or just previous experience and what they've heard from friends. So they're constantly measuring you against that promise. Now, why it's important to talk about this promise. If I challenge you, let's say I see Suman on the screen in front of me. Suman, if I sent you into your organization tomorrow and I said to you, please go and ask 5 people in your organization what your brand promise is and how they should deliver on that brand promise. And I said to you, don't just ask the senior guys, right? Don't just go and ask your peers. Ask the most junior person, ask the person in the tea room, right? Ask the person who has just joined the organization and ask the person who's been there for 20 years. Suman, I can bet that you're going to get different answers, right? Unless you've done a lot of work in your organization, you might get different answers on what the promise is, what people's interpretation of that promise is, and how they live that promise. So I think every brand should strive to have some consistency around that promise, right? If I'm a bank and let's say Richie's bank says we are the easiest and the fastest, and you know what? We're going to be the friendliest. Right, then everybody needs to be empowered to be able to deliver on that promise, because often when we look at customer journeys, they will help us find the gap between the promise and the delivery of that promise. Everybody happy with what it is? So see it as a storyline. And in that storyline, we want to look at the goals and we want to focus on the emotions. And a little bit later, I'm going to give you a template. So why do we do customer journey mapping? What can it be used for? So what's important is it can help us be true to brand. When you have that promise, you can design the experience to be true to brand. You can also make sure that it's a lot more repeatable, as well as predictable and consistent. So a customer journey map, for me, the most powerful way in which to use this is to train your people so that they know what is the experience that I'm going to deliver. And often when you've identified your customer journey map, you're potentially going to have 3 or 4 departments that will work together to deliver the experience to the customer. And often when you hear customer complaints, they go, I've told my story 5 times. And when they passed me from the one department to the other, nobody wanted to take ownership. Everybody just goes, this is not my problem. not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't want to know about this. So your customer journey map becomes a fantastic tool to say, when I pass the customer around in the organization, what does it feel like to them? What do those handovers need to look like when they traverse a really complex 100-year-old organization? Right. And then this one, like, your customer journey helps you to be outcomes based, right? And when I say outcomes based, every experience that your customers are having today elicits an emotion, right? And let's quickly do an experiment. In the chat, I want you to type, what is the emotion that your brand elicits? What is the most extreme emotion that your brand elicits with customers today? Let's see. Let's see some of those emotions come up. The most extreme emotion, and I'm not saying positive and negative, I'm saying the most extreme emotion. What is that emotion? Fantastic. I'm seeing delight. I'm seeing frustration. I've got another frustration. I've got love and hate. Another love and hate. Oh, I've got another love. Let's see what else we have. We have more love. We have frustration. We have intense emotions. We have care. We have frustration. We have relief. We have joy, scared, reliance, stressful. You feel so dependent when you have a reliance on a brand. Stressful, not in control. Creates stress. Yes. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. So the amazing thing about customer journeys is you can set the target emotion, and then you can teach your people to elicit that emotion. And that is probably the most powerful thing about customer journeys. And in your customer journey, when I ask a customer to fill in a form and send me some supporting documents, can I make that delightful for them? Most likely not. So I need to understand that there's parts of that journey that's going to be naturally painful. There's natural pain in that journey. But what we can do, we can cluster the pain together and we cluster the pleasure together. And then we get a very different end result. Does that make sense? So we want to win the hearts, the minds, and of course the wallets, right? We're all here to earn a good living, to have a fair value exchange with our customers, right? But the heart, the mind comes first. And then we can say, we want to keep your business. We don't want to give you any reason to go anywhere else. All right, so that is why we do this. So let's quickly think about how to do customer journey mapping. I'm also going to tell you how not to do it, but let's talk about the how to first. So it's really important to watch the customer, to be the customer, right? Walk in the shoes of the customer, to hear the customer. I've literally listened to thousands of telephone calls over the last 15 years that I've been doing this work, where you can hear the silences, you can hear the emotions, you can hear the uncertainty, you can hear the transfers from one agent to the next, right? And if I go and listen to that, I put together a murder mystery. I can write a whole murder mystery and then see, why did this customer eventually leave? Because the frustration got too high, the pain got too high, and the benefits were no longer there. All right. Then once you've done that, once you've walked in the shoes of the customer, you're then going to chart the map, right? You are going to chart the map just like the old map makers used to do. And you use both science and imagination. There's so many people, and I know you are in the room, data junkies. I call them data junkies very lovingly, right? We need those data junkies. But if you spend all your time in spreadsheets, trying to make sense of the customer, if you are frustrated with big data and how you're going to crunch it and how you're going to do these behavioral analytics, I say to people, go back to the basics. Really go back to the basics and understand your customer, watch your customer, see what they're struggling with. Ask yourself, what did they do before they came here? What are they going to do after they leave here? And really ask questions around what are the problems that they're solving in their life. And then obviously we hear many people talk about automation, AI, we're going to digitize everything, right? And I say land travel before space travel. First, get back to the basics. I see a lot of brands that are incredibly successful. They haven't done a lot about AI or automation. They've gone back to the basics and they said, we really need to care again. We need to give our people permission to care again about the customer, and they are winning. All right, so how not to do this? Please do not sit in your ivory tower and get 3 of your colleagues and go into a meeting room for 6 weeks and plot customer journeys and create amazing spreadsheets and then slap it on the wall and then come to me and say, listen, this customer journey mapping thing didn't work for us, right? The customer needs to be centered in that map. Please also do not just draw up a process map, right? The customer journey map does not equal a process map. It also does not equal a screen flow of what's happening with your app or your website, right? That's a part of it. It's essential that you have a process map. It's essential that you have a proper UX design for any digital properties that you work on. But that's not your customer journey. Your customer journey is what the customer is in control of. That is the customer experience actually happens inside of your customer. It happens in their mind, and it's very often how they feel about themselves when they interact with your brand. It's not how they feel about the brand. It's how they feel about themselves. Do I feel smart? Do I feel confident? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel intimidated? So it's how I feel about myself. And then don't do any shit in a spreadsheet and call it a customer journey map, right? You can do it a lot more creative. And I'm going to tell you about spreadsheets a little bit later because there are things that you should be doing in a spreadsheet, but not your customer journey to start with. All right. Any questions? I'm seeing a lot of, Farzana, I see you, helpless and exhausted. I see more emotions there. Okay. Lilani's going to stop me if there's any questions that come up. All right. So now I am going to give you the recipe how to do a customer journey map, right? Who wants the recipe? Just give me a show here. Give me some. There we go. Okay, fantastic, Vilma. I love the enthusiasm. Okay, so let me quickly, I'm just going to just make some space here. Isn't this awesome? Our technology have come such a long way. All right, let me just clean this up. All right, so what we're going to be doing is let's just work a bit on lingo, right? We want to work on the language. So if you look at what I've done here with the blocks, these blocks, I call them moments, right? Those are moments with my customer. And you can have a moment that says, I'm shopping online here. Now I put something into my basket. Then I might go and do research on a competitor's site. Then I might speak to a friend first, and then maybe 5 days later, I come back and I actually place the order, right? So those might be my moments. But Jan Carlson from Scandinavian Airlines coined this term called moment of truth, right? A moment of truth is where I make a decision, and my decision is I go or I stay. I love or I leave. All right, so that might be my decision. So it's important once you define all these moments in the customer journey, it's important that you look at not all moments are equal, right? Which are the moments that are really critical, that are high emotion for my customer, where they're potentially going to make a decision. And from a brand perspective, I always say to people, pay extra attention to the moments that are high volume, right? Kubendri, you send out a lot of statements on a monthly basis, right? Those statements go to all the customers, right? I did get it right that you're in banking right now. All of a sudden, I'm uncertain, right? But she's not in banking, but she was nodding about the banks being so stuck up. Okay. So let's say you're a bank, you send out statements every month, right? That's a high volume transaction. That's something that lands on every customer's either in their inbox or if they still get paper. Let me quickly ask you, people in the room, how much do you love your bank statement? Aside from the figures on there, right? How much do you love your bank statement? Do you think that's a particularly beautiful artifact? No. I see a lot of heads nodding. Why not? because they haven't designed it to be beautiful, right? They designed it to be ugly. I've often thought, why, especially now that everything's digital, why is my bank statement not beautiful? Then people use compliance as an excuse for that, right? We need to make it look ugly. It needs to look like a mainframe screen from 50 years ago, written in COBOL. All right, so we want to look at these high volume moments and then say, if we put some extra love in one of those high volume moments, we're going to create a great experience for many customers. So next thing, sorry, I've got a frog in my throat here. So next thing, I want you to, when you design a customer journey, I want you to go right to the end frame. Before we start walking in the shoes of the customer, I want you to ask yourself, what is the outcome I want? How do I want the customer to feel once they've been through this interaction with me? What do I want at the end of the journey with me? Do I want them to have a dinner conversation about my brand? Do I want them to just feel phenomenal? Do I want them to go and post on social media? What do I want them to do? How do I want that memory to come alive of what they've just experienced with my brand? Right? So once I've set my end goal in my journey, then I can reverse engineer the journey and go back to the start, right? So the second thing I want you to do is say, how does this journey start? And I want to quickly tell a story about a group of grocery store managers that I worked with, Pick and Pay in South Africa. I worked with their store managers and we did a customer journey for a store of theirs. And I said, where does your journey start? And they said, when the customer enters the store and walks through the landing strip. And I said, interesting terminology, sounds very inside out. I didn't know there was more than one landing strip. The one that I know is at the airport, but be as it may, that's not where my journey starts as a mother of 3 children, right? My journey starts when I get home on a Wednesday afternoon at 5:45 and there's no milk in the fridge. And my son says, Mama, I want some milk, right? That's when my journey starts. So you need to go back into the world of the customer. Then my journey goes, oh shit, I'm a bad mother. Let me get back in the car. Let me put the 3 children in the car. Let me yell at them to fasten their seatbelts. Let me fight through traffic because now it's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday evening. Let me go and park outside my local Pick and Pay. And when I park outside my local Pick and Pay, I park next to this beautiful 4x4 vehicle, brand new, shiny. And out of this vehicle slides a woman in gym clothes. She looks at least 20 years younger than me, but I know her kids are the same age as mine. She wears a size 30 pants. She has beautiful hair and full makeup, but she's just come from the gym, right? That's a part of my journey that the Pick and Pay store managers never consider, right? So by the time I get into the store, I'm yelling at my children. And by the time I get to the checkout and I have a complete meltdown and I curse and go crazy, it's no longer about the fact that the bread and the milk is in the corner of the store, right? A whole journey have played off before I got to the landing strip. So I got to the landing strip in a specific state, which was already tired, frustrated, and feeling like I'm a loser. Do you get that? When we identify the start of the journey, we want to go back and say, what happened before that? What happened before that? Because we're going to find gold in how we approach someone in really understanding the journey. All right, so now I have got my moments in the journey. The things I want you to map for each of these moments is, what is your desired emotion? How do you want them to feel in that moment? What is the customer expectation in that moment? What is magic? So how can I exceed the expectation? And how can I fail the expectations? What are the possible moments of misery that people are going to experience in this journey? And then I want you to reflect on the brand promise in each of these moments. What does it mean to deliver the brand promise in those moments? Now, just quickly, you can map many things in your customer journey. Things like processes, things like the moment owner, things like a system, the KPIs, how do I know that this goes right? So you can map anything. And many of the brands we worked with have customized what they want to see in their customer journey. What are the elements they want to see? The biggest benefit that I've seen is this mapping what can go wrong. Because most people, when they start a job and they go through their training, they get taught this is the standard operating procedure. This is how you use the system. These are the technical compliance aspects. This is the process, right? They are never told these are the top 10 things that's going to go wrong in your life as a service professional, right? These are the top 10 things that's going to make you feel like shit, right? It's going to make you want to pull your hair out. And this is how you handle them. So if we anticipate, and I spent a beautiful time with the Ritz-Carlton in Sarasota just before COVID hit the planet, and they teach their people the art of anticipation. Watch someone and anticipate what's going to happen, anticipate what's going to go wrong, and design and engineer things that can go right, things that are those moments of magic that you just remember in your mind. All right, so that is essentially the structure of your customer journey. And in these basic elements that I showed you, desired emotion, expectation, how do you exceed expectations, how do you fail expectations, and how do you apply the brand promise, we have seen incredible results, remarkable transformation in teams. We've seen a very famous bank in South Africa, their compliments exceeded their complaints for the first time in years and years that they've been measuring it, because people anticipated. And when a problem occurred, people don't go, oh shit, I hope that would never happen. They go, yes, finally, I've been waiting for something to go wrong because I know exactly how to deal with that. I was trained for this. I'm like a Navy SEAL. I've waited for this thing to go wrong. And they deal with it quickly and with confidence. They don't let it escalate in the organization, because escalations are bad, right? People get mad when they escalate things, right? And then it lands with the ombudsman and everybody's very unhappy. All right, any questions about what I've showed you? Okay, Leilani is going to check that chat. Now, please do not do all of this exciting stuff that I showed you and then let it die somewhere on a wall. All right, so it's really important. Now you bring out the spreadsheets, right? And you apply rigor, you have a fantastic project plan, and you plot what results you are going to track. We had a question earlier. I still got the questions open on my second screen here. How do I convince my leadership? Stop convincing your leadership. They are expecting you to convince them. They want you to bust your balls convincing them. Show them the results. Pick one small thing. Pick one small thing, show the results, deliver the benefits, right? Once you do that, people are going to be queuing outside your door. People love people that get results, right? So do not spend months and months pulling out those PowerPoints trying to convince people with other people's statistics, right? Stop that shit. Start delivering your own benefits, and the leaders will stop asking. For years, I thought every CFO that I've ever worked for just hated me, right? Because they would ask these nasty questions, and I thought they were just a bunch of assholes, right? Until a coach one day challenged me and said, Chantal, they're asking exactly the questions that they paid to ask. Stop arguing. Show them the money. Show them the business case. If you can't put together a solid business case, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. So I'm saying the same to you. Stop this convincing things, because even in the word convince, I need to take them from point A to point B, right? Show them the results and they will believe. All right. So once you've done your customer journey map, you need to have a rigorous project plan where you look at, what do I need to make this journey happen? Do I need to train people? Do I need to change systems? And please do not do journey mapping and then come to me and say, listen, we don't need to do anything with our people. We're going to just automate and apply AI to all of this, and the problems are going to go away. I've never seen that work. Most people throw technology at customer journeys, and technology might be justified and it might be needed, and you might have millions that you really want to burn, and you spend that on technology. All I'm saying is you need to spend the same on people. Often we've seen that once you get people excited about being part of this journey, once you give people the ability to say, this is how I'm going to contribute to the brand promise, you get a very different end result. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this. All right, so I want to quickly show you just what a customer journey can look like, right? So we've got a fantastic picture here of a customer called Nolu, and she's going to buy her first car. And we included personas here of Tyrone. He's a typical car salesman. You can see that big smile there. We've got a banker called Vivian. We've got another banker called Paul, and we've got Pam, the insurance broker. And what we did in this journey is we actually went through the journey of discovering the car, then comparing, but we've included getting finance from the bank for the car as well as insurance, right? Because often we simplify the journeys way too much and we don't think like the customer would. When you buy a car, often you need to finance that car, and 100% of the time you need to insure this car. So there are multiple journeys happening at the same time, right? And you can see here, we work with images. So typically if we train the insurance company or the bank on this journey, we will use the images so that they can role play, so that they can use these images to really create their own experience. So that's one version of what a journey map could look like. We also work extensively when we do in-house training, we work with Lego, and we let people physically build this journey in Lego, and they model it in 3D, and they can take that character and move them to another frame and do something with that character. So there's many ways to really get out of your spreadsheets and start innovating around this journey. All right, I'm watching the time, and it is now time for our interactive exercise. So I want you to grab your piece of paper, and I'm going to just for a moment stop sharing my screen. All right, and we are going to quickly do a little bit of journey mapping, right? So you are going to follow along with me. This is like those old TV programs. If you watch TV for the first time in 1978, then you will see the style that I'm going to present here. All right, so you're going to start with a piece of paper, and we are going to do some journey origami. So first we're going to make a template, and I want you to fold with me. We're going to fold the piece of paper in half, right? We do it lengthways. We're going to fold it in half like this. All right, then we are going to fold the paper again in half, and I want you, when you fold it, make it nice and flat, so you have a line when you unfold it. All right, everybody with me? And we're going to fold it in half again. We're going to fold it in half again and fold it one more time. All right, so all of you should be sitting with the square like this. Okay, now you're going to unfold it. You're going to unfold it, and what you'll see is an ancient spreadsheet. All right, so you've got the first version of Excel here. No, I'm kidding. Okay, now you're going to fold it once like this and another time like that. Okay, and the closed corner, it's important, people, because we've had many senior people look like complete idiots when they don't follow the instructions. Okay, the closed corner here, you are going to tear out this piece in the middle, okay? And if it looks like mine, you show it on screen. If it doesn't look like mine, then just keep your camera off. Okay, so when you open it, you want it to look like this. Okay, and it looks a little bit like a game board, right? So we're going to use these blocks to map your journey. All right, but first of all, I want you to take, Kubendri, you did a stunning job. You did a stunning job. You are absolutely the star of today's class. You know what I'm going to do, Kubendri? Leilani, if you will please, Kubendri's been playing along so well. I want to give her a copy of my customer journey mapping field guide. Kubendri, we're going to land my Amazon book with you. It's not available. It's not available in print. We're going to get you a digital copy of that. So if you, Leilani will grab your details and we will send that to you. Okay, so on this piece of paper that came out of the middle of your page, I want you to write the one or two emotions that you want customers to feel when they interact with your brand. I want you to write that on this piece of paper, right? And I've written like Brandlove. If you come to any of Brandlove workshops or training or in-house training, right? I want you to feel the light. I want you to feel like you're a rock star and you are the only person in the world that we are paying attention to. And I want you to experience absolute delight. So I want you to do this for your brand. I'm going to give you just a few seconds, right? On your piece of paper, what is that emotion that you want people to feel? All right. And once you've done that, I want to again invite folks just to switch on their cameras and show us the piece of paper. Show us that piece of paper. What is the emotion that you want people to feel? We're actually going to take a picture of that. Lee, I love what you've done there. I love what you've done. Lee, can I quickly spotlight you because I'm curious and I got an eyesight problem. There we go. Okay, Lee wants people to feel trust, love, confidence, and happiness. And Lee, if you make me feel like that, I will buy whatever you are selling me. Okay, who else? Who else? Kabenji, show me your, just going to spotlight you quickly. What do you want people to feel? Just unmute yourself.
So I've got relief and delight.
Relief and delight. Absolutely. And I will buy from you. Okay, fantastic. So now you've got your emotion. What I want you to do now, and I'm just going to quickly just spotlight me again. So what I want you to do is on your piece of paper, on your template that you've created, right? I want you to start plotting your journey here, right? And you've got limited space. So you're going to focus on the big moments and you want to start here. No, let's follow my proper instructions. First, you want to go to your end frame. Your end frame is, think of it as a game board and you're going to go around your end frame. What do you want people to say when they're done with your interaction? Then you're going to go to your start frame and you're going to say, all right, so what is my first moment and what happened just before that? What is my first moment? What happened just before that? So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to jot down your journey. You might do it in pictures, you might do it in words, doesn't matter. I'm going to play you some music and you are going to work on your journey for 5 minutes and then we'll have a quick debrief before we close the meeting. Alrighty. I know that is very fast. And usually when we run our training program, you get 5 days to do this. But let's just hear from a few people. And this might be a start of something that you want to go and finish. But let's just hear from a few people. Any aha moments? Tell me if there were any aha moments in you deciding what is that emotion you're going to evoke, and then looking at those frames and saying, let me critically look at what I think happens with my customer. Anyone that wants to give some feedback. Suman, I see that you are ready to roll there. Please share with us.
This is a little bit different. I don't know. Is anything visible?
I'm going to quickly spotlight you. No stress. Tell us about it.
So I am in an educational institution, so it's a university. So you have undergraduates, masters, PhDs, and all of those. And so if I just look at undergraduates as a target segment, and so they're already here when we get them.
Yeah.
So they have started the journey before. So it's the kind of faculty members they interact with, the courses they take, the advisors in the college that they get advice from, different career planning aspects, the job fairs that we put them on, and then a graduation ceremony, and then did they get a job or not?
I get excited just
4 years
thinking about that, right? Your journey runs over 4 years. I really get excited when I think about that. And then the ultimate question is, were they prepared for having the confidence to actually secure a job? That's phenomenal. Phenomenal. And tell me the emotion. What was your thinking there around the emotion that you picked, or set of emotions?
That's a difficult question for my business, in the sense I'm the chair of a department. So I don't know what other courses that they're taking, but I see at least what they're taking in my department. And it's a 4-year process, so it just depends on when you catch them. So I just had a meeting with several graduating, and there were some things that they want involved in the curriculum, for example. Our bylaws allow. So I think, yeah, it's a good idea for some of the students to sit on the committee, how courses are structured. They want more experiential courses, like the one you're teaching right now. Because as academics, we're just in the ivory tower. That was another part of the your notes that you showed, right? We just say, oh, this is the great theory, do it. But it's not in an age that they live in today, that maybe it's not cutting it, right? And so forth. So I can't exactly point out to the emotion. I want them to have a job at the end and be happy with the experience. I think they're overall happy because they have a loyalty already to the brand of the university where we're located. It's the better happiness in that thing, because they've articulated some that we're not doing perhaps right now.
Stunning. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I was talking to another university in South Africa the other day, and they said, look, we seem to deliver a whole lot of imposters to the work market, right? And I think that thing about, I'm actually confident to make a contribution, and I feel proud about my contribution. So I absolutely love, as you were painting that picture of the journey, I got swept up in that. So fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I think, again, I'm so inspired because we can, from different industries, we can help each other so much in actually sharing the journeys and sharing how we experience those journeys. Folks, that brings me to the end of our allocated session today. But I do want to say to you, we have these workshops every month. We try and pack as much as what we can into 60 minutes because we know that's the one thing people do not have enough of, right? Especially for learning. And what we've done with our training programs is we've actually deconstructed it. So it's no longer a week-long training. We've got 5 wonderful modules coming up in the next few weeks. And if you are interested, if you want to hang with us and spend more time with us and immerse yourself in this experiential learning, Leilani is going to actually drop some details in the chat. You can hit her up on WhatsApp. We will also be sending you an email with both the materials for this session as well as an invitation to the next session. And if you want to spend more time learning from us and actually do the work, I think that's one of the things, Suman, that we are very passionate about, is not just people, once they leave us, they need to really have the experience and they need to have done some of their company journey maps. So see the time with us absolutely as learning and consulting at the same time. So I want to say to you, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you this afternoon. And please, I hope to see you again. I'm so delighted to see people who have joined these sessions for the last 3 months, and we will continue to do this. And if any of you are in Europe, we will be in Ireland in June, and I hope to see a few people in person. And as is customary, we are going to play out with a bit of music. So thank you very much, everyone. It has been such a great time with you. Okay, let me just choose a little bit of a, let's do this. We're going to choose a little faster song, right? There we go. How